Yes.
Hello, Arctic.
Arctic is
Yes,
in.
you're waiting on me. Arctic was in here. He's supposed to be up here tonight.
Yeah, I said hi to him in the comments. Or in the chat or whatever it is. It says comments. So that's why I called it that.
Oh, that was at 5:59. I know he said something about he had to go take his boyfriend to a job interview at 2 today, and he didn't know what he was going to be doing. So we're hoping that some of this works out tonight.
Okay.
I went to go print everything off, but nothing would print. Only one page printed out from my notes. So,
what was the issue? Being that I used to be a printer tech, what was the issue, D?
I sent it to death.
that was the issue?
Yes.
I don't think that's something a tech can fix.
There's Mr. Arctic.
Yeah, I'm here. I was just on a panel on TikTok, and then I was like, hey, gotta hop down. I promised that I would be over on YT, so.
Kick. Wow, you're spreading yourself thin, aren't you, sir?
Not Kick, TikTok, but yeah, well, you know me. I'm always spreading myself thin, so.
So our two panelists are here, and I know last week you were asking questions, Ed, in one of the cases that we went over in trivia.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah. The one that you, let me go up to the top. Janice Norrat.
Yes. Yeah, looked her up. I did quite a bit of little bit of it. I wouldn't say I went down a rabbit hole with her, but I did. Wanted to see what was going on there, and discovered quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
Well, you know, even if it was a walk-off.
Yeah.
You know, she still has two daughters.
She does. I found both of them. I know where they are. I haven't contacted them. I found at least one of their Facebook pages, and she seems to post regularly. And conveniently, maybe even coincidentally, she's right here in Florida, over in that area where her mother disappeared from. So, yeah.
Are we leaving you completely out, or do you know what case we're talking about?
I am unfamiliar with this case.
Yeah.
So she disappeared in 1990 from Lakeland, Florida. She was 32 years old. Occupation was landscaper. Last seen leaving work to go take her daughter to a doctor's appointment. She never arrived. Later on that day, or later on, 3 days later, Ed, I think.
Well, it wasn't that day, but it wasn't long after that. Yeah, right.
They found in an Albertson parking lot her car abandoned.
Yeah. That's never a good omen.
Well, with mental health being a big thing for me and you, Arik, I mean, there's some mental health issues here. I mean, such as she was going through grief and trauma from losing her dad and her husband.
Yeah. Well, if you were to just, for example, just go to the Charlie Project and read about the disappearance, all you're going to read is that her husband had been in a fatal car wreck not long before she went missing. But what is not included in there is that her father died, I think, of natural causes, nothing suspicious. He died of natural causes even before the husband died.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, she was dealing with a lot. But at the same time, you know, mental health issues aside, generally, if you're going to do some type of self-harm, you're not going to check yourself out of work and say that you're going to pick your daughter up and take her to a doctor's appointment, or even make an appointment for your daughter if you're planning on just saying, oh, never mind, here's what I'm going to do. You understand what I'm saying?
I think the way I remember it, I don't have the notes in front of me either, D, and I didn't even have a printer problem. Is that where her car was parked? You know, she left work and she never went to her car. It's not like she walked out to her car, got in her car, drove somewhere, and left it where it was eventually found. When she left where she was, she never even went to where her car was parked.
Oh, wow.
There that
Yeah.
morning or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have to admit, I do think that this is some sort of mental health issue. Grief, you know, I don't know if we want to go the whole way to like mental health, but some sort of grief that she couldn't handle, which totally understandable. You know, I'm not going to, you know, blame her or anything. Of course, she left her daughters behind, but and the other thing on top of that is her mother died later that year.
Oh, oh yeah. Wow.
So I don't know, you know, once again, just looking at it the way I did, you know, I haven't seen like a death certificate or anything. So I suppose we might even be open to the idea, okay, her father dies, her husband dies, and then it very well could be that somewhere in there, maybe her mother had been diagnosed with some sort of terminal disease and she knew she was going to be dying at some point that year and just said, man, this is just too much. Just once again, conjecture, speculation, everything else, but yeah, bad. It's very sad. Yeah. But yeah, I looked it up. Like I said, she had 2 daughters. And really, I don't want to say, you know, very could well. I've not contacted them. I very well could end up talking to one of them one of these days. It's really all I want to say about either of them for now or what their names are. I don't want to get into any of that. But they're out there. They're both alive. So, you know, maybe we can do something with that sometime. But you know, I think what I'm saying anyway is that it very well could be she walked out of there and got abducted. But man, if so, man, that is a woman really, really, really have a bad beginning to the start of a year. You know,
Yeah.
that's a lot
Yeah.
of things stacking up. So, yeah, but you know, Arctic, if you weren't here last week, we did a lot of Florida disappearances, and Dee stumped me as usual. And that was one that she had asked me about. And even though it's right over there in Lakeland, which is only an hour away, I was like, I've not heard of it. Of course, it was 35 years ago.
Has it been? Well, yeah, it had to have been 35 years ago. I'm sitting here going, has it been that long ago? Yeah, because it's been, what, 24, 25 since 9/11?
24 years since 9/11. Yeah, and today, 2020, 1990 to 2025, 35 years. And I think she went missing in February, I think, of that year.
Let me see. Did I have that written down? June 19th.
June. Huh. Okay. Well, I got that wrong. Yeah. But Dee, did you not want to talk about? I know that Oklahoma case.
Yes, I have that one written down too.
Okay. Stephen Adams. Hopefully, Arctic's familiar with that one.
Have you heard of the Stephen Adams case out of Oklahoma, Arctic?
I've heard of it. I am not super familiar with it, but I can certainly become real familiar real quick.
Okay. I had notes. I have, let's see here. Here they are. December 13th, 2004 was the missing date. He was 26 years old, last seen in Cookson, Oklahoma. White 1995 GMC pickup with chrome bed rails. license plate SCQ 714. Sorry, dyslexia sometimes. He had finished finals in SU in Tahlequah and was reportedly heading to visit his mother in Wichita Falls. Weber Falls. That's what I've got here. Let me try to read today. In Weber Falls. Last known movements, he called his girlfriend. He said what?
They were giving someone a ride to Keys, Oklahoma.
Yes.
Right.
And I was asked to look into it. I know that I've seen that there were some divers that dived on it. And they found a pickup, but I don't think they think it's his.
No.
From what I've read.
Right. In fact, I would say, and I have to admit that the YouTube channel that posted that, what they posted, very misleading.
Yes, very much so.
They make it seem like they found Stevens Adams' truck. They did not do that. They did not do that. It was a little, obviously they're doing something out there, but that's certainly the way they posted it. It was what I would call clickbait.
Yeah, that's what I thought whenever I seen it, but that was my opinion. I didn't like it. But it says that his ex-father-in-law had allegedly made verbal threats against him at some point in time.
Right. What I remember, this has been 6 years now since I had Stephen's mother on. And what I also remember about that is Stephen coming back to where he was living, and there was a convenience store nearby that said there was some guy hanging around the convenience store outside. And seemingly around the time that Stephen would be pulling into his apartment, which is across the street from this convenience store, that guy walked in that direction or something like that. And there have been allegations as to who that guy could have been. And, of course, some people believe this guy went over to see Stephen. Stephen knew this guy. They got in a truck. And when Stephen said he was driving somebody to, wherever he Keys, Oklahoma or whatever, it was this person. Of course, that person has never been identified by a name, although there were rumors. And Stephen and the truck both went missing.
I mean, that one I was asked to look into, so there I did my digging.
You were asked by who? Who asked you to do that?
Chris, our ex-best friend. I don't know why. Did I mute you or did he mute himself?
No, I muted myself. Yeah, well, I mean, and I was just reading over some of the articles on the case, and Stephen's dad is adamant that someone out there knows exactly what happened to his son. So,
Arctic, I'd have to agree with him. I think this is one that, at least in the coverage that I did, would certainly be put in the foul play category, certainly.
Oh, that's the vibe I'm getting just from what I've read, and I just glanced over a couple of articles. So.
Dee, do you even, how close is all of that to where you live in Oklahoma?
Give me one moment. See, I'm so glad I got the new phone.
Do-da-ding.
We're going to. See, I was supposed to invite Death up, but it's about a 3-hour. It's closer, honestly, to Fayetteville.
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Yeah. It's a 3-hour and 27-minute drive for me.
To me, what's your perception on that case? It seems to me that Stephen's disappearance I mean, it's not like Brian Schaefer or Mara Murray, but it seems to me it's gotten a lot of coverage over the years. Like a lot of people know about his disappearance. What do you think, Dee? Being
Well,
you're from the
other
state.
than you, I hadn't seen much. I looked it up, and I think I found one other podcast from it.
I know Channel 6 out of Tulsa has done some pretty good coverage on it from what I was looking at. So.
Okay. Okay.
Hello and welcome in. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Do you remember when that? Dee, did you live in Oklahoma at the time when that happened?
I have lived here my whole entire
Yeah.
life.
Do you remember when that happened? Do you even remember when Steven's disappearance got on your radar?
I'm trying to think. 2004. Where was I and what was I doing at that point? I think I was hanging around the Culver, Oklahoma area. Honestly, about that time, because I was helping my Aunt Albany with my Uncle Otto, who had Alzheimer's.
Oh. Okay.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Because I do the, as you would have probably imagined, Dee and Arctic, maybe Arctic, you do this too. You think back, there was a time when you weren't into this, and now you are into this, and you're thinking, well, where was I when that disappearance happened near to me? I do that with just Jessie Foster, being that I lived in Las Vegas when she went missing. Well, what was I doing at the time? Did that get on my radar? Maybe
see,
you do that as well, Dee. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's more, what cases have I heard about? Well, let's see here. You have Logan Tucker's in Oklahoma. You also have the other guy by Elk City that you covered, Ed, back in the early days of Unfound, back in about 6 years ago.
Yes. Yes. Right.
That I, really paid attention to. Certain cases just grab my attention. I don't know how to word it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
Stevens didn't. I guess because I went, oh, he's a college student. My mother used to tell a story about a guy who told her he was moving to El Reno. Now, mind you, she managed the apartments. El Reno, Oklahoma is where she thought he was moving to. Come to find out, he moved to El Reno, Nevada.
Or Reno, Nevada. Yes.
Yeah.
Reno, Nevada.
So,
yeah.
That her brain went one way and.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Arctic? Wherever you live, do you think back, before you were doing your show and doing this? Do you think back? Oh, I remember that disappearance back when, in the area where I.
Yeah, I mean, there's two that really stick in my mind that I can remember exactly where I was when I heard that they went missing, and that's Melissa Witt and Morgan Nick.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. Morgan Nick from Arkansas, where recently through DNA they've been able to figure out who took her, but she still hasn't been found, right?
Yeah, she hasn't been, and honestly, the chances of her still being alive at this point, I think, are slim to none. But that was a whole ordeal, because what had happened is when Morgan went missing, the person that they know believe is responsible because of the DNA and everything. Well, he had tried to abduct another child from the Sonic in Van Buren, which is the next town over from Alma, where Morgan went missing from. And so he gets, arrested. His truck is searched and everything. They found all kinds of evidence in his truck. Alma collected all kinds of evidence. And somewhere between Alma PD or Van Buren PD, whichever one collected it, and Quantico, the FBI headquarters, that evidence was lost. And so all these years later, miraculously, the truck, which had switched owners like 5 or 6 times, was found, and they were able to find one hair that connected him to someone in Morgan's family. They can't definitively even say it was Morgan, but yeah.
Right. That was, and Morgan Nix, she was like at a little league game or something.
She was at a little league game with her mother. She had asked to go with her friends to go collect fireflies, and Colleen, God bless her, she had told Morgan several times that she wasn't going to allow her to go with the friends because she was an overprotective mother. But the other parents in the stands started giving her a hard time about being too overprotective. So she let Morgan go collect the fireflies with her friends. And then this is what happened.
So you lived in the area at the time. How close to there?
I'm in Van Buren. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Wow. Okay. All right. Thanks. Thank you for that. Yeah. Like I said, I think of Jessie Foster. I lived in Las Vegas when she went missing, and I certainly remember her picture. And there was these other young women who went missing, and I think some of them were eventually found, plastered all over Las Vegas on, in the Review Journal, like the free newspapers you could get in towns, all over the place, back at that time. And little did I know, all those years later, I'd be interviewing Jesse's mother. It's weird. So weird to think about things like that. Never could have. No. All right, D. Yeah. Stephen Adams. Yeah, I think, gotta believe he got lured or something, or maybe even forced to drive somebody somewhere bad.
It's just crazy that they haven't located the pickup. At least with the other one that we were talking about, Chad or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of reminds me of a case that I'm working on right now out of Arizona. This guy, Matthew Spencer, is 26 years old. He's been missing since the 6th of August. He was driving from California to Houston, Texas. Had stopped in Las Vegas, Nevada, stayed with his sister from the 1st through the 4th. He sends his twin sister a text message on the 6th of August saying he's in Cloudcroft, New Mexico, but the tag reader picks him up in Flagstaff, Arizona. The family was able to get into his phone. They know that the last place that the phone pinged was near Flagstaff. So far, law enforcement doesn't even have this man entered into NamUs. They have not pulled his financials or anything. Had it not been for the family getting into the phone, they wouldn't even have the information on the ping, and his his vehicle is still missing and unaccounted for.
Well, if he was driving from Vegas to Texas, then yes, he would be going near Flagstaff. But having made that trip a few times myself, you don't go. I don't think you do. I don't think Route 40 goes through Flagstaff, does it?
What side of? Whoa, hang on. How far up north in California?
Oh hell! Don't get me to line. I don't remember what city in California. All I know is that he had stopped in Las Vegas, and then he said he was in Cloudcroft. But now we don't believe he ever made it to Cloudcroft at all because his last ping is still in Arizona. So
I'm gonna check that. Being that I should know this, but
well, say I was a truck driver, I'm going 40. Doesn't that go?
Yeah, I'm just checking this right now on the map.
Yeah.
Well, 40 does go. All right, 40 does. I-40 going from Las Vegas to Texas does go through Flagstaff. So I guess that was on his way. But if he went into Flagstaff, I guess he never went back out. I guess. Okay. What other things have you learned, Arctic, being that you brought him up? What else, if you can say publicly, what else have you learned? Anything that really sticks out to you?
I mean, that's really where we're at this point. The family is trying to get law enforcement to get his financials, which I think is something that absolutely needs to be done because that'll tell us where he last used his debit card and everything. That still hasn't been done. And like I said, I'm frustrated because they still don't even have this man entered into NamUs. And the brother, and what really messed the case up from the beginning, in my opinion, is that initially it was being handled by the Las Vegas Police Department because that was the last verifiable sighting that they had of him. But then, once they knew that he had been in Arizona, well, Flagstaff took the case over. So somewhere between, there's some type of miscommunication somewhere along the way to where this man just hasn't been entered into NamUs because the brother had asked and submitted the information for him to be entered into NamUs on the day that he was reported missing, and it just still hasn't happened yet.
What have you, Matthew Spencer? What have you learned about him?
I mean, it wasn't unusual for him to move from place to place. He's originally from Washington, which is why the vehicle he was traveling in had Washington plates. He liked to fish a lot, although the area that he last pinged in, I didn't see a lot of bodies of water there or anything. But he did make some concerning Google searches from his phone, too, at the time that last ping happened. He Googled, he asked what time it was in Houston, Texas. He said that his car was making a clicking sound but wouldn't turn over, trying to get advice on what was wrong with it. And he asked where he was.
He asked where he was. Yeah, that doesn't. Yeah, that's probably the worst part of all of that. Where he asking where he wasn't sure.
Correct. Now, the area where his vehicle or where he last pinged, they did send people out there. They searched with dogs and drones and stuff. They didn't find any evidence that the vehicle was there. They've called the salvage yards and the tow companies and everything to see if someone picked up the vehicle. There was an RV shop down the road from where he pinged at. And so, that's been called. No one remembers seeing anyone matching his description coming into that shop or anything. So, I mean, it's confusing. I mean,
what kind of vehicle?
it was I believe, 2006 Hyundai Tucson.
All right, it's a pretty common vehicle too.
Silver.
The Washington State plate would certainly make it stick out.
True.
Anyway. Oh boy. Covered a few of those. People driving from here to there. And something sometimes goes wrong along the way. Yeah.
And I sit here and go, I was scared to drive from here to Tucson my first trip alone because Nicholas was a baby.
Yeah.
And now I understand why I was so scared. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I just looked at where that last ping was. It was between Williams and Flagstaff near Keyhole Sink Trail Park or whatever.
You wonder what he was doing. If it was even him.
And that's a valid point too, because the text message, it was a text message that said that he was in Cloudcroft. So we don't even know that Matthew sent that message. It could have been anyone that sent the message.
Absolutely. Right. Well, do we know why he was going to Texas? Was this just going to be for a short time, vacation, or was he moving?
He was moving. He was starting over. He had just gone through a breakup, from my understanding, and he was going to start over in Texas.
Not to worry anybody, but I've featured 2 of those types of disappearances on my Unfound Now, the monthly series I do here on YouTube. Guy moving from like Minnesota to Louisiana, and then a young woman moving from Louisiana to Colorado. Both of them, their vehicles were found. Unfortunately, they were both found deceased, and I don't think in either one it was foul play. Not to worry anybody out there, but I have to admit that those particular cases come to mind when you tell me about Matthew.
Yeah. I mean, I've covered a number of them that are similar in nature, and what gives me hope is that the vehicle hasn't been found, and that's what I told his sister and his cousin. Because if that vehicle's found and his belongings are in it and he's nowhere to be found, that's going to be a bad sign.
That's bad news. All right. Yeah, Matthew. I might have even probably seen something out there about his disappearance. Okay. What else you got, D? What else you got? This is
Well, the Noah Pressgrove case, and I don't know. Arctic, have you been watching what I've been sending to you? That one guy that I feel like is worming his way into that case. I don't
I've
like.
watched bits and pieces of it. I mean, I told you what my theory is on Noah. I think that his friends beat him to either within an inch of his life or to death at that party, threw him in the back of a pickup truck, rolled his body out onto the roadway, and left him. Period.
It's another Oklahoma case, Ed.
I recognize the name. How old is this? When did this happen?
It happened last year, I believe it
Year
was,
before last.
I think I remember.
and he was 18 years old. He was planning on going into the military. He had gone to this party with a bunch of friends. The party lasts several days. He gets into an ATV accident, comes back, and then he goes missing again. Apparently, according to friends, leaves the party in nothing but boxer shorts or whatever. And then they find him on the side of the road. His teeth are all over the interstate. There's so much damage to his body that he's unrecognizable. But yet they find a pair of shorts folded up neatly next to him, which the friend claims, I guess, that once they found him, he folded the shorts or whatever. But the first theory was that he had gotten hit by a truck or something. But I just don't foresee the truck doing all the injuries to him that were done to him.
Let's see if I can.
How far was? And once again, I'll have to read up on this. How far was where his body found from the party?
Oh Lord, D, help me out. You know probably better than I do.
Let's see here. Highway 18. Do. Let's see.
Sorry to put you both on the spot like that.
It's all right. I was getting ready to Google, but
Okay. When you say that you're both following it, is there something going on or?
Law and Crime Network, Jesse with Law and Crime just did a big video on it not too long ago. The family is filing a civil suit against the people, the adults, the kids, and the person that sold the alcohol to the people at the party. So,
All right, I can see that. That's trouble.
but the problem could be is if it wasn't a minor who bought it, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see if this is going to work. This was from.
He gets into an ATV accident, is allegedly okay, goes to this party, and then walks off in just his underwear. Where did the rest of his clothes end up?
well, apparently he was drunk and he wanted to go lay with some girl in a room. There was an altercation, a verbal altercation. They end up throwing him in the shower, I guess, to try to sober him up, which is why he was only wearing boxer shorts, is my understanding. And yeah.
Okay. Huh. And everybody who's at that party is sticking to that story? Is there any?
Pretty much. I mean, his best friend Jack is and his dad are my two prime suspects in this because they've acted sus from the start.
Okay.
They didn't really show any emotion in talking about his supposed best friend or any of that. They're just pretty much blunt, straight to the point. They're like, well, he probably got hit by a truck and blah, blah, blah. I mean, whereas a lot of the community, including the podcasting community, this just isn't adding up for us. And so, I mean, and law enforcement now, I mean, they had closed the case. I think they're open to possibly reopening it. I had heard someone from OHP say that they're not saying that manslaughter charges couldn't be filed at some point, although they didn't specify why manslaughter as opposed to homicide charges or anything like that.
Okay. So I guess his clothes then were left at the party then? That's where they were, I guess.
Yeah.
We don't know.
That's what we assume.
Yeah, did you figure out how far his body was from the party? Did you?
That's what I was looking up on Facebook. Sorry, my mother keeps trying to call. I don't know what's going on. Probably nothing. She's probably bored.
Why isn't she watching your show, Dee? That's the thing she should be doing.
She can't see.
Oh, she can't. Well, okay. Yeah, okay. Well, my dad doesn't watch or listen to my shows either, Dee. So we're, I guess once again, I realize you two know way more about it. But I think certainly finding out where he was, where his body was found like that, and where the party was, certainly is something important. And then is it conceivable that he was trying to walk home wherever he was going? Was this in the direction of where he lived? These are probably things that I'm sure somebody knows. That might be relevant to.
Let me see here. Like I said, I know I had it. 19-year-old. And I'm not finding any of it now.
You're not finding it?
I know it was within 3 miles, I do believe.
All right, so not far, but not close either. 3 miles if you're walking is.
Yeah, it was just a few miles away from the town of Terrell, Oklahoma. So, we're probably talking from where the party happened, maybe at max 10 miles.
All right, well, 10 miles would be far for somebody to walk, especially if they're drunk. So, I guess what I'm saying is, if this is some sort of, I guess what I'm saying is, if this was some sort of staging, and somebody did take his body out there, and then somebody else hit him with the car to try to make it look like something else than what it was. Taking him 10 miles away seems a little extravagant to me. I don't know if somebody would really put that much work into it, but 3 miles, that might be more conceivable to me, maybe, if this was staged. I don't know where the line is in there, but.
Well, and that's what I'm looking up as we speak. Yeah, I'm still here. Okay. Am I muted? No. All right.
I hear you, Dee.
All righty. Give me one moment.
Now she's muted.
Hey, I just found it. It said that the house was about 1 mile away.
Oh, really close then?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I could certainly buy into the idea of staging it with only that distance.
And one of the other things I forgot to mention is that he had on mismatched shoes.
Okay. So something maybe happens at the party. They don't want to admit to it. They take him out there, and maybe one of their vehicles should have been checked after this, maybe.
I don't know. It's a whole lot of stuff that's not adding up for me. The math ain't mathing.
Okay. All right, but I can certainly see. I don't know where the criminal side's going to go of it, but I can certainly see the civil side.
Yeah, the family, I think they're asking for $75,000 in damages, which really doesn't seem like a lot. But I think the reason why that they're not asking for a lot of money, that's not the point of the suit. The suit is filed so that there will be discovery and they'll be able to ask questions under oath and things of that nature. So,
Right.
Well, I think what bothered me the most was here recently hearing that the best friend made the remark, "What happened to Noah he was asking for," and I just, no.
That's what Noah's best friend said. He was asking for it.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
If you tell me that, it seems like you're saying, "Hey, I did it, but I'm going to be a smartass over here and not tell you I did it." My opinion, personally. You know.
Yeah, that kid's lawyer should have said, "Don't say anything. Don't.
Well, and Artie, did you ever look that up on the dad that we had talked about?
I did not. I got sidetracked, and you know me, I've got ADHD, and once I get sidetracked, I forget all about it. So,
I heard rumors, and I don't know if it's true or not, but the dad had a boating accident a year or two prior to that with another young woman who got killed.
I did do a little Googling. I wasn't able to find anything, but that's not to say that it didn't happen. I just didn't see anything when I did a Google search.
I'll say, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I hadn't dug on the dad. I just did, whatever comes up on crime and talk about it.
So when you say the father, what, of this best friend?
Yes.
Okay. Father of this best friend. He was maybe out in the boat and something happened. Wow.
A series of tragic events.
Yeah, the tough thing, anything about that is, parties and things get crazy, and how many people would really, children or adults under 18 or over 18, would really keep their mouth shut if something by nature happened.
I'm just glad that it got the media attention that it's gotten, because it's an indigenous young man. And, we're just very lucky that Law and Crime and Nancy Grace have covered the case, because so many of these indigenous people that go and get murdered or die under suspicious circumstances, we'll just say that, they don't get the coverage that Noah's case has gotten. So, I mean, he's very fortunate to have gotten the coverage that he got.
Yeah. Well, and of course, Ed knows around here, the natives, well, you've heard. I mean, look at Molly's case. It took how long before you found out about it?
Before I found out about it? I don't remember when I first heard about it, but, it took me a few years before to covering it on the podcast, maybe to 2019. I don't remember the first time I ever heard about it, but it probably was before I started Unfound in 2016. But when did they go missing? You'll have to remember it. Remind me.
13.
I probably knew about it before I started Unfound. So maybe it took me a couple of years. It's hard for me to remember, but I think we have to remember with Colt and Molly is that that's a fairly unique disappearance. So it's gonna stick out.
I don't think I had heard anyone do a podcast about it prior to you.
Oh, really?
Because everyone was telling Paula prior to you need to reach out to these people. You need to start reaching out, get people's attention, with the case. Get people to help. And of course, I ran across your podcast right after I ran across Tom Brown's case. And before that, I was listening to the other lady that was podcasting back then on Truecrime. That that's from Pennsylvania. And I had never heard anyone cover Molly and Colt's case until you did. And
really?
Then others
came. Really weird. My perception of back then is completely different, but it's your state, so who am I to say? My perception is that there was quite a bit of coverage. Now, whether it was actually podcast coverage, I can't say, but I thought that it had gotten a fair amount of coverage in different places before I talked to Paula. But
I mean,
Well,
I
what
think
good in our,
the local media covered it from the start, I believe.
well,
But
yeah, our local covered it, but that was it.
okay, all right,
You
okay,
got people to look at it. You were the first one,
oh,
and then
really?
Molly or
Okay.
they. Uh,
Was it not on like one of those TV shows though? Why do I remember? Once again, maybe this has all happened after that.
no, um, she was talking to at the same time she did the interview with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
The guy who did oh my Tara Grinstead's case.
Up and vanished, Payne Lindsay.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's what it was. Thinking. Maybe that's what I was thinking. D. All right. Okay. Happy to help. Still unsolved, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Still very solvable, I believe. And I don't know about Noah Cosgrove's case, but just hearing about both of them, I don't know where Noah's is going to go, but I still believe that Colton Molly's disappearance is absolutely solvable. Absolutely.
I believe it's solvable if we ever get. Well, if there are people to talk, if anyone ever talks, does that make sense?
Maybe. We've talked about their disappearances on here before. I think this is still a situation. I'm not I realize a lot of people think it was foul play. So there's always, when you have something like that, obviously you're always looking for someone else to talk to. The problem I have is I'm not convinced it's foul play. And, being that angle has been, pursued for so long and really nothing's come of it, maybe it's time to look at their disappearances in a different way. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
Give me 1 second. You two talk amongst yourselves.
Arctic, what else are you working on? What else?
Let's see. There's a case that I covered out of South Carolina. 14-year-old boys, well, 13 at the time. He was fixing to turn 14. His name's Caden Moses. He had been up in his room playing video games with his best friend. He was on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend. His best friend was on a FaceTime call with his girlfriend. The day before, or a couple days before this happened, they had been over at Caden's dad's house. The best friend and him had gotten into an altercation. Apparently, they patched things up. It's right before New Year's, so they had gone, and I think it was a campfire or something that they had. Anyway, he was spending the night at Caden's, and they're on this FaceTime call. Caden's playing Roblox, which the game that he was playing, you have to have both hands on the controller to keep your character moving. And as soon as you let one hand off the controller, it stops moving. So they're on this FaceTime call. The girlfriend hears Caden say, "Hunter, what the?" And then there's a noise, like a thump is how she described it, but it was the gunshot going off.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and the best friend decides to tell everyone that Caden committed suicide, including the girlfriend. He waits 10 minutes before he even goes out in the hallway and tells the siblings or anyone what has happened, that, Caden's deceased. And the projectile goes through the wall into his siblings' bedroom. It's just very fortunate that none of the siblings were hit or anything. Well, so no one is tested for gunpowder residue. No one, I don't even think they printed the rifle to see whose prints were on it. But the medical examiner, they determined that this wasn't a suicide, that it was a homicide. So they did their job properly. But the problem is that the crime scene was never secured. The family, the friends, they're all tramping around this crime scene and everything the entire time, to the point that the best friend's family was allowed to bring him a change of clothes. They didn't collect his clothes or anything from the crime scene either. He's allowed to change clothes right there in the driveway of Caden's house, is how I understood it. And at any rate, they closed the case out, didn't file charges against anyone, said there's insufficient evidence to file charges, and just closed the case. And I'm like, well, what more do you need? It was recorded on a freaking FaceTime call. I was like, you've got the testimony of both girlfriend. Well, I don't know if his girlfriend would testify, but you've got the testimony of Caden's as to what she heard. I mean, so what more do you need? You got the medical examiner saying, no, this was a homicide, not a suicide. I mean, just because y'all,
whose gun was it?
it was Caden's. It was in his room. It had been in the corner because he was planning to go hunting the next day. But the ammunition had been locked up in Caden's truck. Well, Hunter had gone down to do something. Didn't say what he was doing. Anyway, apparently he got into Caden's truck somehow and got that ammunition, because when it happened, one of the things he said was, oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullets because I unloaded the rifle.
Yeah, I heard about this.
And how old are these kids again?
13, 14.
So it wasn't a handgun. It was actually a rifle that was
It
used.
was a rifle, yes.
And we don't even know how far the rifle was.
I mean, it wasn't one of those situations where it was up against his temple, if that's what you're asking. It was, I mean, it was a distance away. They basically, from my understanding, and I've got the autopsy reports and stuff somewhere on my phone. I'd have to go look at them, but it was a significant enough distance that he would have had to have 10-foot arms in order to do that shot to himself.
Well, do we know, being that I'm a little bit of a gun guy, do we know what kind of rifle it was? Like, so it's like a hunting rifle, like the barrel's like 26, 28 inches long, something like that.
Oh, I know what type of gun it is, but I don't know off the top of my head. If you give me a minute, I can go try to find out.
Totally fine. I'm just wondering, just this is something. And what is the friend's story? So Caden just got up, went to the corner, got his gun, and shot himself.
That's pretty much it. I mean, and I've heard the 911 call from the mother, which was completely devastating. When I did my video, I refused to put that 911 call in the video just because it was so traumatizing for me as a creator, and I could only imagine for her having to hear it over and over and over again.
So nobody else in the house knew that happened until he came out, or they didn't. I mean,
the sound that people heard, because you have to think he's in there playing video games, so that's loud. You've got the siblings in another room watching movies. They probably had that turned up loud. They did hear what they described as a thud, but that is believed to be when the chair hit the wall and threw Hunter against the wall because of the kickback from the rifle firing the shot.
Well, I got to tell you, my experience with guns, and it's extent. Like I said, I'm not here to support any sort of gun. I'm just telling you, I own guns. I've shot a lot of guns. That's what I'm saying. Rifles and handguns both. Man, I don't, rifles are loud.
I know.
And, a handgun, some handguns aren't loud, like 22s or something. 9mm, fairly loud. 10mm, really loud. But all rifles, I mean, the two rifles that I have, you cannot shoot them without ear protection, or you will be deaf forever. So I'm wondering, they're saying instead they just heard the chair hitting, but they didn't hear the gun go off. That's once again, I know I'm asking technical questions, just things coming, thinking out loud. So that's,
part of the problem is that, like I said, the kids were in a different room.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, they didn't even realize, I guess, that something had happened until this best friend goes out and says, hey, he just did this to himself. But, I got to go by what the ME says, though. The ME's like, yeah, this wasn't because, I've
Right.
covered too many cases where they're like, yeah, this was a suicide when it really wasn't a suicide. So, I mean, if they're saying that it wasn't, because especially Sled's notorious for being corrupt, and I think that's part of the problem too, is that this family comes from money, and so I think that's part of the issue why no charges were filed. Honestly, just my personal opinion.
So this 14-year-old hatches this plan. I'm going over to Caden's house. I'm going to get the ammunition out of the car, or somehow he knows where it is. Brings at least one bullet up, puts it in that gun, and while they're playing games, he shoots Caden and then claims Caden shot himself.
That's my understanding on it. There's a video that has all the information about the gun and goes into specific details on my YouTube page and on my TikTok.
Great.
So yeah, go check it out. I mean, yeah, go ahead and play it. Play the video.
All right.
We got no sound.
You're kidding. Okay, give me a second. Why am I got no sound? I wonder.
Could the video be on mute? Is it on mute?
No, I just muted it.
Okay.
Move. Add back. Let's try muting myself. Sound or no?
Nope.
No sound.
Give me a second. Try one more thing. Well, you know what? We don't have to do it that way. I can do it through my phone. Give me a second. Just give me a moment to. That would be one. Huh. Okay, give me. Why? Why is YouTube not being nice to me, Arctic?
Could be you have if YouTube and whatever other apps you're using on your phone, they could be conflicting.
Well, I was trying to switch over to my main channel.
No, it's
to pull
like
up Arctic.
Yeah. I know, like on my phone, if I'm running Spotify, let's say, and then I go to Instagram and play some video there, one overrules the other. They rarely both play at the same time.
I logged out on my new phone earlier today to log into my troll account to go troll somebody, and
jeez.
I haven't logged back in.
Troll account. D, you have a troll account?
Guys, this
is here we go.
Fox. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to be discussing a brutal murder. One that has no justice, even though it's been over a year, almost 2, since this heartbreaking and senseless crime took place. Today, we'll be discussing the heartbreaking death of 14-year-old Caden Moses. On the 30th of December, 2023, in Clinton, South Carolina. So, on December the 30th, 2023, this murder took place, and it has left his family, Caden's family, completely devastated. Answers, although how do you really ever get answers in such a devastating case as this? And although this was classified as a homicide by the Lawrence County Coroner's Office, no one has been held accountable for Caden's death. Caden was found shot in the side of the head with a .243 bolt-action rifle. A tragic end to what seemed like what was going to be an ordinary evening spent playing video games with a friend. No one could ever have predicted how this night would end on that cold December night. The South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, otherwise known as SLED, took over the investigation, but the case has been closed and no one has been held accountable for Caden's death. Correspondence between SLED and Caden's mother, Erica Moses, reveals that the investigation has been closed, and yet they have not provided the family with the information and closure, if you can ever truly have closure, that they desperately need. There's so many questions, and the main one is, why has justice remained so elusive for Caden and his loved ones? To get into this, we need to look at the order of events, and what we know is on or about the 27th of December 2023, Caden and his friend Hunter had some type of dispute about something. Hunter may have said something about Caden's girlfriend, and he had been staying with his father, who had been separated from his mother at the time. Now, as days passed, it did appear that Caden and Hunter made up, and Hunter was going to go to Caden's mother's house on the 30th to spend the night. Now, according to Caden's girlfriend, in her statement, there had been 4 of them talking to each other on and off during the day. They had made plans to meet at Caden's girlfriend's house. They had a bonfire to celebrate the new year. And on the night of the 30th of December, things were rolling with Caden and Hunter at Erica's house, Caden's mom's house. And starting at around 9 p.m., Caden and his girlfriend were on the phone talking. He decides to go take a shower. The girlfriend stays on the phone with him while he takes his shower. And when he got out, he says that Hunter had walked outside, so he's going to go check on him. He then said that Hunter was walking back toward the house from the driveway. It's important to note that Caden was about to turn 15 in January of 2024 and would have been able to get his South Carolina learner's permit to drive. According to Erica, the mother, the only other place that ammunition for the .243 bolt-action rifle that Caden had was locked up in his truck and in her gun safe. And the keys to Caden's truck were in his mother's room. Now, I'm just going to say I'm not one that believes in any child being able to just willy-nilly have a gun in their room. Whether the ammunition's locked away in a different place or not, no child needs to have a gun in their room. Sorry, not sorry. However, it doesn't change the fact that this is a tragic event and this family needs justice. Caden's girlfriend mentioned to her mother that when she was on the phone with Caden, the kids were playing video games. It's a game called Roblox. Now, according to Caden's girlfriend, Caden's virtual character never stopped moving until after the gunshot went off, which means that Caden had been playing the game. Now, it's important to note that in Roblox, you have to play with both hands. Then, that's when you hear the gun go off, and it ripped into Caden's head from down and to the left of him. The girlfriend further explains what happened once everything takes place. The door is closed, and it's important to note that Caden's older sister's door to her room was just outside of Caden's room, and they shared a wall. Caden's 2 other younger siblings were in the room opposite of Caden, and everyone was in their respective rooms. And there was a FaceTime call going on during all of this. They were all on camera together, and Hunter's girlfriend, Kate, and Caden's girlfriend were on the call with the 2 boys. Hunter got on FaceTime with cameras on as well. They could see Hunter laying on the floor on Caden's left side. could also see the gun in the corner of the room within arm's reach of Hunter, where he was laying. Now, a GoFundMe page has also been established for Caden's family to help with, the ongoing counseling of the children concerning their brother's death, as well as other expenses, as well as, getting someone to do a real investigation of this case and attorney's fees to try to bring someone to justice. Now, again, they all had decided to play Roblox, and after a little bit, Hunter said that he no longer wanted to play, so he quits the game, but continues to stay on FaceTime with his girlfriend. Even though he was still on FaceTime, he laid his phone on the floor with the camera pointing up to the ceiling, so they couldn't see him on the screen. At this point in the evening, the house was quiet. The younger children were in bed. Caden's sister had her boyfriend over and were in her room. Erica had gone to bed and was asleep. It's now around 10:45 p.m. and Caden's girlfriend describes what happens next. After a while, Caden and the girlfriend decided to turn their cameras off on the phones. And even though the cameras were off, they were still on FaceTime talking to each other. Within a few more minutes, she hears Caden say, "What are?" and then a gunshot. After a few seconds, she hears Hunter say that Caden had shot himself. Now, the time is around 10:55 p.m., and Caden's sister and her boyfriend had been in her room exchanging Christmas gifts, as they hadn't seen each other over Christmas. They had been opening them for a while, and then they hear a pop. Now, Caden's sister says it wasn't a loud pop, but kind of like a big piece of furniture hitting the wall. And she says she started laughing because she didn't think it was anything serious, and it just kind of made them flinch. So they go to see what the noise was after a little bit, and as soon as she opens her brother's door, Hunter walks out of the room with his phone in his hand saying that Caden had shot himself. Now, the sister tells Hunter that it's not something to joke about, and then looks into Caden's room and sees him in his chair facing his monitor. Sister obviously is in shock and could hear the blood dripping onto the carpet. Now, I can't even begin to fathom the counseling that the sister, as well as all the family, are going to need. I mean, it's just horrific. So the sister runs to her mom's room, wakes her up in a frantic. At this point, as you can imagine, Erica is completely stunned. She's half asleep, but she goes to find out what's going on. And she describes what happened and what she saw in her statements to SLED. She said that she was woken up by her daughter Kylie, shaking and grabbing her right arm, saying that Caden had shot himself. And she screams, asking, "What?" And she repeated it with a horrible look in her face. She got out of bed, runs to her son's room. On the way to running to Caden's room, she saw Kaylin in the doorway holding on to Kaysen. That's the other two kids, or three kids, Kaylin, Kaysen, and Kylie. When entering the room, she said that there was a smell like she's never smelt before, and she couldn't place it. He's in the chair with his back in the game chair, his legs crossed at the ankles, stretched under his desk. Both of his arms were inside the arms of the chair, bent with his hands curled in. And his right leg had his cell phone, and it was still playing the video game. And Erica says this is a parent's worst nightmare. You get awakened to the news that one of your children's been shot, and there's not a playbook as to what to do in that case. Obviously, adrenaline kicks in, and Erica said that her son's head was leaned to the right, his eyes were bulging out but not closed. Caden's Caden was still breathing, and Erica says she felt that Caden still had a heartbeat. So she starts screaming out for the kids to get out of the house. And she grabs Caden's phone off of his lap and dials 911. And again, Erica says she could see Caden's eyes moving. They were swollen, mostly shut, open enough that Erica could see the eyes going from side to side. And she describes Caden's movements. So the dog comes in, anxious from all the screaming, and hits the back of Caden's chair, which made Caden's head fall slightly further back and to the right. So she starts screaming for everyone to put the dogs up, and Kylie and her boyfriend grabbed the dog. Erica stops chest compressions and picks Caden's head up, and she says that she felt the crunch of bone and warm blood on her left hand as she put her son's head back. I can't even begin to imagine, guys. It's every parent's worst nightmare. And now for this family, it's a reality. And the entire house is in a frantic terror. Children are screaming, dogs are barking, and throughout all the chaos, Kylie remembers that exactly what Hunter was doing amid all the crying and screaming. She says she remembers seeing Hunter, but he didn't seem messed up like the rest of everyone there. No tears or anything. And at the time, she didn't think anything of it. But the account of what happened that night matches up. The siblings' account matches up with the entire family, with what everyone seems to know as fact at this point. The projectile or bullet that went through Caden's head had exited Caden's room through the wall and went into the bedroom of his younger siblings. And thank God, none of the younger siblings got hit. The 12-year-old describes what happened next. They were asleep in their room, they were in their room, about to go to sleep, and then they hear a loud bang. The brother and sister in the room next to where Caden got shot goes through the wall. And, the kids, they thought there was a light bulb that blew up. And then 3 to 5 minutes later, Hunter comes out of Caden's room stating that Caden shot himself. Now, from where the younger siblings were sleeping at the time, the bullet missed striking any of them by less than 12 inches. And thank God these kids did not get hit. And when it came through the wall, it broke in two and ricocheted towards the ceiling. None of the younger siblings were struck by any type of fragments or anything. Caden's sister gathered the younger kids, all crying and upset, across the street to a neighbor's house. Those neighbors have been interviewed as to what they remembered happening, and according to the neighbor, she remembers the following events. After Caden was shot, she saw Hunter on the carport. So she walks up and sees Hunter pacing, saying, oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullet. So she tells Hunter to sit down on the weight bench and then asks him what happened in there. Hunter says, I unloaded the gun earlier and I guess I put a bullet back in when I wasn't looking. Which begs the question again, why would the gun be loaded in a 14-year-old's bedroom? Now, earlier, we know that the ammunition allegedly was locked up in Caden's vehicle, and so I'm confused as to why the weapon would be loaded to begin with. At any rate, so he says he unloads the gun, and he guessed he put a bullet back in. Whatever. I don't believe this Hunter to save my life anyway. The neighbor asks, what does he mean? And at that moment, a vehicle pulls up on the road. Hunter takes off running to the vehicle. And that was about 10 to 15 minutes after Caden was shot. Time's around 11:15. At this point in the neighbor's statement, it makes it seem as if Hunter shot Caden, but was under the impression that the gun was unloaded. And this would confirm that Hunter went and took Caden's truck keys from Erica's, went inside Caden's truck and took the bullets and loaded the weapon, according to the neighbor's sworn statement, unloaded the weapon, according to what she remembers Hunter telling her. Kylie's boyfriend's statement matches up exactly with what the neighbors said as to what Hunter told the boyfriend in his statement, and he recalls Hunter saying, "What do I do? My fingerprints are all over the bullets." Hunter further told the boyfriend, "I didn't know how to help him." The next question is, who did Hunter call and whose vehicle did Hunter run to get inside? According to the neighbor, she recalls, so Hunter runs into the car. Yeah, it pulled in like almost at the end of the driveway because the neighbor says she saw it pull up in her peripheral vision. Erica says that she doesn't know what Hunter had on, a t-shirt and shorts, maybe pants. Tammy says, "I say this because I believe he may have changed clothes, which if he did, then he wouldn't have gunshot residue on his clothes." Anyway, I'm not going to go through a lot of the witness statement here because it's not as important, but now you have Caden's girlfriend's mother and Caden's girlfriend outside of the Moses home after Caden was shot. And she recalls that in her car, she had Hunter's sister and a friend, Hunter's girlfriend and a friend, and Caden's girlfriend. Hunter's sister receives a phone call from Hunter's mother telling her to take off her pants and give them to Hunter. So she leaves Tammy's vehicle with pants on and comes back to Tammy's car with shorts on. Allegedly, she was going to give them to Hunter or Hunter's mom for Hunter to change into. Now, Tammy has been interviewed, and she recalls that Hunter's sister was on the phone or staying on the phone saying, "Okay, yes, I'll come change clothes if he needs it." Now, someone in Tammy's SUV asked who that was, and Hunter's sister said that was my mama. If this account by the neighbor and Caden's girlfriend's mother are accurate, it would appear that Hunter may have called his parents and sister and girlfriend. The sister changes out of her pants, leaves Caden's girlfriend's mother's vehicle, and allegedly gives the jeans to either Hunter or someone in the vehicle in which Hunter entered. And this also is according to the neighbor. If the accounts of the family, neighbors, the boyfriend, and the girlfriend's mom are all accurate, including what Hunter has said to eyewitnesses, the following may apply to all involved with the killing of Caden and alleged help in destroying evidence. But also remember that no one has been charged with any crimes in the homicide of Caden. If anyone were to be charged, they're presumed to be innocent until the state can prove them guilty in a court of law. But the possible charges could be murder, could also be involuntary manslaughter, tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice. And Hunter's mother and sister could possibly face charges because if the mother and the sister of the alleged shooter helped him change clothes to hide evidence, they could possibly face serious charges for their involvement. In South Carolina, the following charges could apply: accessory after the fact, tampering with evidence, obstruction of justice, conspiracy. Now, the approximate timeline of events is as follows. At 9 p.m., we have Caden talking on the phone with his girlfriend. 9:15, he goes to take a shower. At 9:45, Caden gets dressed, goes outside to look for his friend Hunter. The temperature's around 39 degrees, and Hunter is only wearing a light-colored t-shirt and jeans. At around 10 p.m., Caden and Hunter go back inside the home to play video games in Caden's room. Both the girlfriends are on the phones with them while they play. At 10:55, Caden is shot with the gun. At 11 o'clock, Erica gets awakened by Caden's sister. By between 11:10 and 11:15 p.m., the police and ambulance show up. At 11:15 p.m., Hunter is seen outside or near the garage pacing back back and forth near a weight bench. Between 11:30 and 11:35 p.m., Hunter is seen running to another vehicle and gets inside. At 12:30 a.m. on the 31st, Tammy, which is Caden's girlfriend's mother, shows up and walks into the home. No police officer was at the door, and no one stops her. At 12:45 a.m., Tammy is in the car with the girls when Hunter's mom calls, wanting clothes for Hunter. At 1:30 a.m., Hunter is still outside, and someone tells an officer that Hunter was inside the house with Caden when Caden was shot. Police detain Hunter. He's heard saying, "I don't know what happened." Hunter is not really questioned by police, nor is any fingerprint, DNA sample taken, or a GSR kit performed on Hunter. Hunter isn't officially questioned by SLED for over a month. At 4 a.m., Tammy leaves the area from her SUV as she was waiting for SLED to take her fingerprints. However, no one did, but said that they would. The police investigation, if you can call it that, in South Carolina, as in other jurisdictions, law enforcement is supposed to follow specific procedures when investigating the death, especially that of a minor involving a firearm. Now, this is what should happen in these cases. So they're supposed to secure the crime scene, and they're supposed to do what they can to preserve evidence. And according to all eyewitnesses, after the sheriff's office arrived, scene control was non-existent. According to Caden's mom, friends of Hunter and Caden, including neighbors, were freely walking in and near the home and garage. They're supposed to separate and isolate witnesses, and anyone present at the scene, including family members, friends, or others in the house, are supposed to be separated to keep them from discussing the incident. However, in this instance, this never happened. In fact, the statements were taken from the family weeks after Caden's death. The neighbor, Taffy, who said that she had to call several times well into March of 2024 for anyone to take a statement from her. The police are supposed to document the scene using photographs, video, and notes, but only 2 photos of people at the scene were taken, Erica and Kylie's boyfriend. If the reports of Hunter changing clothes in a car are true, and this scheme was allegedly prompted by Hunter's mother and allegedly carried out by his sister, then a clear record of Hunter in different clothes would be visible on police body cam footage. If this is on the police body cam video, this would prove obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and conspiracy of Hunter, his mother, and his sister. However, the Lawrence County Sheriff will only provide Erica with the audio of the body cam footage, not the corresponding video, which I think we need to look into. Since the case is closed, there should be no reason why that body cam footage cannot be FOIA'd at this time. The initial assessment and collection of evidence, clothing collection. Police are supposed to collect and bag the clothing of all individuals present. In South Carolina, officers often use special evidence bags so that it can prevent contamination and preserve forensic evidence such as blood and gunshot residue, DNA. However, the Lawrence County Sheriff nor SLED ever secured any of this from anyone in the house that night, including Hunter. Gunshot residue testing. Officers are supposed to conduct immediate gunshot residue testing on everyone in the house, as they aim to establish if anyone had recently fired a weapon or was in close proximity to gunfire. However, once again, the sheriff's office nor SLED ever secured any of this from anyone in the house that night, including Hunter. Blood evidence. Any visible blood on individuals is supposed to be sampled and photographs taken. However, according to the people at the home, this didn't happen. Firearm examination and ballistics. They're supposed to collect the firearms. South Carolina officers are supposed to confiscate the rifle that was used in the incident, as well as any other firearms found in the residence. This was conducted and an inventory should have been taken. According to Erica, the weapon used to kill her son has been returned, but she is missing a handgun that police allegedly took that night. Where is the shell casing and whose fingerprints were on it? ballistics testing in South Carolina. The SLED is supposed to conduct ballistics analysis. This report has not been seen if one was ever even conducted. They're supposed to do ownership verification, trace the rifle's ownership to determine if it was legally owned and registered. This report, again, has not been seen if one was conducted. Forensic and physical evidence. Fingerprinting and DNA collection. So SLED often handles the collection of fingerprints from the rifle and other relevant items, and DNA swabs may be taken from those present to cross-check against any evidence on the weapon or the scene. Again, this was not conducted at the scene, nor ever. Hunter's cell phone was taken by SLED 2 to 3 weeks after the shooting. The search and seizure of additional evidence. Well, police will normally search the house for additional firearms, ammunition, and items like phones or computers. Caden's phone was taken the night of the shooting. And there is a protocol for handling juveniles and minors. South Carolina officers are particularly sensitive when handling minors as witnesses. Officers will follow specific guidelines to ensure that minors are interviewed in a trauma-informed manner, often involving trained juvenile detectives. But according to Erica, SLED agents told her that Hunter was only interrogated once, and this was weeks after the shooting, and he was with legal counsel. Hunter chose to invoke his Fifth Amendment right and remain silent. Erica also stated that she was told that South Carolina law only allows for a minor to be interrogated by law enforcement one time. This claim, however, cannot be confirmed at this time. Initial interviews. Police normally conduct interviews with everyone present to gather statements. In South Carolina, detectives often take these statements at the scene or a nearby police station and will ask about the events leading up to, during, and following the incident. All interviews in this particular case, however, were conducted weeks later. The body would have been transported to the county coroner's office, in some cases, the Medical University of South Carolina, for an autopsy. Now, South Carolina law does mandate that the coroner investigate any suspicious death, especially those involving minors, and this was done the next day on the 31st of December 2023 at around 10 a.m. The coroner's report states that Caden Moses was shot in the lateral left side of the head. The path was through the skin, bone, and brain and exited the top right of his head. Cause of death is a gunshot wound due to the head, and the manner of death was ruled a homicide, and this is signed by Claire Rose, MD, medical examiner, and Michael Ward, MD, chief medical examiner. Many things are crystal clear in this case, as reported by the eyewitnesses, the interviews, the official documents, and the medical examiner's report. 14-year-old Caden Moses was killed by a bolt-action rifle from an upward angle that entered the left side of Caden's head and exited the upper right side of his head and went through the wall into his sibling's wall, eventually ending in two pieces of the ceiling. Caden's girlfriend recalls vividly that Hunter was sitting on the floor on the left side of Caden in a blanket on the floor with Caden's rifle within arm's reach. She heard Caden say, "What are," and then heard the gun go off. She then heard Hunter say Caden shot himself. She noted that Caden's virtual character never stopped moving from roadblocks until after he was shot. The Lawrence County coroner told Erica that there was no way that Caden could have shot himself. Seeing that Caden was facing towards the computer screen lifeless with his hands on his legs, the rifle being on the ground to his left near where Hunter was sitting. The Lawrence County coroner is correct in her assessment. Caden's sister said that Hunter and Caden were in the room alone together, and that Hunter exited the room and nonchalantly tells her that Caden had shot himself. Her boyfriend stated that Hunter told him that he loaded the rifle but then unloaded it. "What do I do? My fingerprints are all over the bullets." Caden's sister states that between the time they heard the loud noise and the time that she walked out to see Hunter was about a minute or two, meaning that Hunter sat in Caden's bedroom for 1 to 2 minutes after Caden was shot and never said a word or alerted anyone. If this is true, it means that Hunter sat in the room with Kate dying or already dead for 1 to 2 minutes. Taffy, the neighbor, said that Hunter told her the same thing. Oh my God, my fingerprints are on the bullets. Hunter's DNA was never taken. His fingerprints were not taken at the scene or known to have been taken at all. Hunter's clothes were not taken that night by law enforcement, and it's also known through eyewitness accounts that Hunter allegedly changed clothes prompted by his mother and helped by his sister, according to firsthand witnesses and their statements. It's been alleged by Erica Moses that Hunter attended a New Year's Eve party the very next day after Caden was killed. Sled only interviewed Hunter one time, and this was weeks later, and took his phone, and also this was weeks later. Hunter invokes his Fifth Amendment and refuses to give a statement. On the 14th of June, Deputy Solicitor Thomas from the Eighth Circuit declined to prosecute anyone based on no sufficient evidence to charge someone. Now, how they came to that conclusion, I will never understand. So at this point, SLED has closed this case, pending any additional credible evidence being found. Again, as I said earlier, there is a GoFundMe page that's been established for the family. This is to help provide for the counseling of the children and any additional expenses that come up along the way. Again, I'm basing everything in this video on witness statements and available records. It's just information from the ongoing investigation. Everyone's presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law, although I think there's substantial evidence here to show that Caden's friend Hunter is 100% responsible for the incident that took place that night. Allegations, though, just as a disclaimer, allegations and potential charges that we discuss here are speculative and shouldn't be considered definitive. And these are my views. They're here just to give my thoughts on this case. And it in no way reflects law enforcement, and it's in no way to make accusations towards anyone. It's just to give my opinion on what I feel took place that night. And I do feel like we need to put pressure on SLED to reopen this case. And we need to share Caden's story out there. I mean, it's been almost 2 years. This December will be 2 years since this young man tragically was murdered, in my opinion. And in the opinion of the coroner's office, again, they ruled this a homicide case. They said there's no way that Caden could have done this to himself. So what I'm asking you to do right now is to, as hard as it is, give the video a like. I know none of us like videos like this. I don't like making them, but it's important to do because this young man needs justice. And it's also important.
All right, is it safe to shut it off right
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So we still don't know who picked Hunter up that night?
Well, we know that the sister allegedly gave him a pair of pants to wear. And as far as who actually picked him up, I can't say for certain.
All right, so we still don't know what happened there. I guess we're also, the thing that is questioned to me would be, certainly if Hunter did this, there was some sort of planning that was involved, with the ammunition and him saying those things. Would he really have chosen to shoot Caden while he knew that Caden was on the phone and there was still this FaceTiming and everything going on? Would he not be worried that that would be the proof that he did it? What do you think?
I'm talking about a 14-year-old kid. Probably not the brightest crayon in the box to begin with.
Bright enough to figure out how to get the ammunition and everything, though.
I mean,
I'm not arguing with anybody. I'm just, as I've been listening, that's something that's gone through my mind. It's just, it's not necessarily rhetorical, but I'm just wondering, would he really have chosen? All right, he knows that Caden's sitting there talking to his girlfriend, and he decides to shoot him anyway. Okay, it seems provocative.
I've certainly seen stranger things in cases before.
Mm-hmm. Of course, on the other hand, what are we, saying? Caden gets up or something and goes and gets his gun, and Hunter's never, neither girl, I guess with FaceTime, it would have been that Caden's girlfriend could certainly hear what Hunter was saying to his girlfriend in the background, I'm guessing, or something like that. There was nothing like, well, why are you getting up and grabbing my gun? What are you doing? I guess there was no talk about the gun before.
Well, and you've got to remember that in Roblox, both hands have to be on the controller for the character to be moving. He never lets go of that until after the gunshot. And the way his arms were positioned in that chair was just as if he was still holding the controller. So he obviously didn't shoot himself.
I guess then he didn't realize, he didn't say anything to, once again, the way, we can believe Caden's girlfriend. I don't think she had anything to do with this. Caden never said something like, Hunter, why are you picking up my gun or anything?
Well, he did say, Hunter, what the, and then that's when the shot goes off.
Right.
So he obviously saw Hunter with the gun in his hand, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah.
I guess he didn't see Hunter get up or go over to where the gun was. And
well, he was downstairs, wasn't he, at one point?
Well, no, I mean, there was that, but I mean, he had already come back up into the room and stuff at this point. But, I mean, I don't know if you're a gamer or not, but I mean, my ex was a gamer, and he could be so hyper focused on that game that I probably could have shot him without him ever seeing me with the gun.
Okay.
Oh, wow. I wanted to scare
you. I'm not arguing with him. It's just interesting that a 14-year-old or whoever. Okay, I'm killing Caden today, so I'm gonna figure out. It's very complicated. How this happened. If Hunter killed Caden, he'd have to really understand that I can go get this gun without Caden stopping me, being that he would know where the gun was, and wouldn't you suspect that? He was
sitting to the left of Caden. Okay. The gun was within arm's reach of him. So he wouldn't have even had to get up. He would have just had to reach over to that corner and grab the gun.
Okay.
I mean, hate to say it, when I take my meds at night, that's the reason why I can't take my meds until lives are over, because I get loopy. Ed, matter of fact, if you ever notice a spelling issue in your chat,
I've seen it.
That's after taking meds.
Yeah.
Taylor, we wouldn't know whether you were on meds or not because you're loopy all the time.
Hey, at least you can make jokes and bring yourself back down. We're good. But I'm just pointing out, I mean, it does.
Oh, I know. I mean,
a gun, look, and it's
you've talked to me after I've taken one of my gummies. So yeah. Absolutely. There's no way I would try to even go on a live or chat with anyone after taking one of those. No.
See.
And then, if we're to believe what Hunter said to, what was it, the neighbor or whoever, that my fingerprints are on the bullets. Right?
Yeah. Why would he say that? I mean,
like I said, I'm just going through it, making sure I understand it. I mean, that's a very incriminating comment.
And it's also incriminating, in my opinion, that he, pled the fifth. If it was my best friend, I'd certainly be wanting to cooperate and do everything I could to get to the bottom of what happened.
Yeah. It just, I guess what I'm saying here is it certainly very well may be Hunter killed Caden. It's just not the way you would think somebody would actually plan it all out, I guess.
Well, we're talking about
because it does. Well, I realize that, but even 14-year-olds like to get away with crimes. This doesn't seem, and of course he didn't. It seems like the the medical examiner said, yeah, this was a murder. And there were only 2 people in the room and one shot the other. But also it seems on the other hand that the crime scene and everything was not treated as such. It was too late once they figured out. Of course, the medical examiner is not going to come to that decision until a couple days later. By that time, the crime scene, a mess. Not, you know. Yeah. Just wondering how Hunter thought it was going to go. He thinks he's going to go over there. All right, I'm going to shoot Cade and get those bullets. How am I going to get out of this?
Well, I mean, I think he thought he's going to set his phone down with it pointing at the ceiling so that it doesn't capture what he's doing.
Yeah.
He grabs the gun from the corner of the room, shoots Caden. Everyone's going to assume they just heard a shot. They don't know if Caden shot himself or if he did it. And he goes out and proceeds to tell everyone that he killed himself, not thinking, there is such thing as trajectory and, forensic evidence that can indicate whether he actually did or not. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, it seems Hunter got lucky. It seems.
Yeah, for now, I'm hoping. Well, and also, why be so shady? Why is Sled being so fucking shady about releasing the body cam footage? Why just release the audio? Why not show the actual footage that could show literally if Hunter changed clothes or not?
I don't know. I don't know if that's shady or not.
Case is closed.
I know. I get it. I don't know if that's shady or not. The case is closed. Most body cams for most crimes are not released, so I don't know. If we're going in the conspiracy direction on regarding something like that, I can't go in that direction if anybody wants to go there. So that seems a little too stretching of the imagination for me, but I can certainly believe Hunter killed him. I'm just thinking about how that all came about. That's a lot of scheming. Going over there, knowing that the gun doesn't have bullets in it, knows how to get the keys or whatever to go get the bullets to put it in the gun, and Caden not think that was suspicious, and being able to do it at Caden's house, and Caden not thinking that something weird was going on, or maybe they just joked around, hey, how about we load this gun? Maybe Hunter talked Caden, let's just load this gun for the hell of it or something. Maybe that's what happened.
And what seems scarier is, I have soon to be a stepson who's turning, I guess, 18 this month. And of course, Mr. Cool, who's 11. I never thought of this world being this horrible. But I mean, it seems like every day it's a school shooting, it's a kid being killed, and it's just horrid and horrific.
It is, but I do need to get off of here. I have a couple things I've got to get taken care of, Taylor, but I do appreciate you having me up as always.
All right, Arctic, love you. See you later.
Bye.
D, I'll stick around for a couple more minutes to just, see you, Arctic. Good talking to you. D, I'll stick around for a couple minutes just to go on what you said there. Don't let the media get you all up and buy into your fears.
Well, you got to realize he was homeschooled from kindergarten until 3rd grade. He repeated the 3rd grade because he refused to listen to me while he was being homeschooled. He knew he had consequences. You know what I mean? So I can't really say it's his fault, but he chose to go back, and he's one here as of lately. I hate school. I wish I was still homeschooled. I was like, you made your choice. I hate to break it to you. That's life. You have consequences. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way. And I know it sounds horrible to say to a 11-year-old child, but nowadays, if you aren't hard on them, you can't spank them anymore.
Nope.
You got to figure out a way.
I
And
know.
we tend
I guess just to say, or you hear about these things. Just don't let the news, scare you. You've heard me talk about this on the live
oh
show.
yeah,
We are in the media business. No matter how big our audience is or who we're talking to and everything else, we're in the media, D. And we are reporters, whether we're went to journalism school or not. We are reporters. And we know within this profession, whether we're amateurs or semi-pros or whatever you want to call it, that there is a propensity, a tendency to want to scare people. And so this is why talking about our profession and what we do is that we have to make sure
well, that's like I was
audiences understand.
telling chat.
Yeah.
My mom was telling a story to me that she's planning on telling on Sunday, which I'll go ahead and repeat. Whenever she was about 3 and the other little girl was 2, the father was going to sit on the porch and watch them cross a road. Well, you had back then, this was in Denver, so they had like the trucks that were going to market. And the little girl, went without her father giving her the go-ahead. And my mom witnessed another child be ran over in front of her.
Yeah.
It's been here forever. I keep saying, it was different when we were kids. No, really it wasn't.
The world is a dangerous place. That doesn't mean you have to be afraid of it. That, you know what? The thing is, D, it's easy for me to talk. I don't have any kids. But, it's not going to go perfect. It's just the way it is. Nobody gets out of here alive. And I don't know what to tell you. I just don't think it's, you're just going to have to, like I said, if you're going to talk about hearing things about bad things happening every day, I think in these days, it's because people in the media know that stuff gets attention. I'm not inclined to believe that it's any worse than it was in any other time in the history of the world. So
that's my mom. She stands on that. She goes, it wasn't any worse. She goes, you grew up in the country. That's the difference. Yeah. You had the country life, a country school pretty much. My graduating class was 25 people.
Huh.
Okay, so I grew up in the country, so stuff to me was different. I remember the first runaway case. Matter of fact, here you go. I was in the 10th grade. My classmate and her little sister ran away together and was gone for 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, it happens.
Yeah. Just can't live in fear. And even though, I know bad things happen, but they are rare. School shootings and things, rare. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it could no more likely happen now than it could have 30 years ago. You have to remember, Columbine was like 29 years ago or something now.
I was a junior going into my senior year because it was my spring of my junior year. The Columbine happened. I was at Tate 2. I remember that.
Yeah.
So.
Yep, 30 years it's been going on. At least.
It's not going to get any better. But I don't think taking away guns
it may not. But I don't think that we can make any sure prediction of that. It may get better. It may not get better. But that's not going to personally change my personal attitude toward anything.
Well, and then, I told you here recently, on top of everything, my niece snuck away and joined the military. Well,
wow.
The weekend warriors for the military.
The reserves.
Her
Reserves.
year. Yes, the reserves.
All right.
Her junior year, her senior year, she was gone afterwards. She
could have
likes
made,
it.
she could have made worse decisions. She could have made worse decisions.
Yeah. I mean, my 11-year-old is talking about going into the military, and I'm like, you're 11. Give it a couple of years. You know, I'm not ready yet.
Right.
But I keep pushing Navy. If we go Navy.
Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines.
Oh, I'm not a big Marine
fan. The Village People song, In the Navy. Do, 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 do. In the Navy. Do, 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 do. I'm going to go. Good talking to you tonight. Good listening to Arctic's coverage of Caden's murder and everything else that we discussed. But it was a pleasure being here tonight.
We, as always, enjoyed you. It seems like Bar's running away, and I'm down to 4 people. So, good night, y'all. Oh, yeah, and another thing. Follow the Whitakers. Look it up. You'll understand why.
The what?
The Whitaker family.
The Whitaker family. All right, I'll look it up.
Look up the Whitaker family.
I will do that. All right, Dee. See ya. Good talking to you.
Bye.
See ya.
Y'all, peace out.